fucking Christ will he ever stop?
Nope.
Okay, you guys are live now, by the way. Welcome to our fun time.
Alright, so what am I posting?
I just posted it in the Skype chat. It's the last one. You know, the one that ends in UQ. The second one that ends in
My
UQ.
phone keeps cutting out.
You should get a better phone. Like, jeez. Well, I don't even have
Somebody listening to the stream?
I am.
UQ.
Are we good? So I'm not like posting this so people.
The second one.
Yep, I just heard you say my phone keeps cutting out. I just heard you say that.
Alright.
Okay, cool. It looks like we are all set up after some ugly, nasty, technical bananas that smell bad and are really brown. And Eric, don't judge me. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Why are you judging? Stop it. No, don't. Stop looking at me like that.
Alright, we're starting in 5 minutes. You guys need to get ready because I'm about to post this. So make your last bit of stuff now and make your piece and shit, or I'm gonna be very mad and I might walk out and I'll tell Chris on you guys.
Oh, we're gonna tell Chris on me. Oh, okay. I see how it is.
But I love you.
I just want to say how much I love you. Okay. Too late, I tweeted it. Woo!
You act like people follow you.
Ooh.
Oh!
Okay.
Oh, and you act like I care. All I need is my own friends. Called me.
Who needs friends when you can build them? Said Ultron very sincerely.
Oh, man. Okay. Is the stream still coming through fine?
Yep.
Okay, coolness. Alright, yay! Banana Joe Jackson! I have no clue who that would be. Would you be the Banana Joe Jackson? Oh.
Russell, are you drunk?
Heaven forbid! I'd probably kill myself. No, I'm not drunk. I've never drunk.
You've never drunk before.
I think he's just been away from people for.
Honestly, officer, I've only had 14 beers.
14 beers, man. That's man. That ain't shit.
Yeah.
That is not shit. It's when you have 10 beers plus 10 shots of Jameson plus 10 shots of tequila and Jägermeister and Black Kraken rums mixed with Orange Crush.
You said crack.
You said crack.
It also depends on your sadness level at the time of the bar.
That is also true. But I never go to the bar because I'm always alone.
God damn it.
Already starting this off with a bang.
Fred. You should come down to Dallas to see those Godzilla guys.
Welcome to
And
Mech
get a girlfriend.
Talks. Welcome to Mech Talks, where life is futile and you should just end it before everything becomes a bleak, dark hole of nothingness.
Welcome to Mech Talks, where I usually cut these bits out. How are you guys doing tonight? You having fun? Oh, a goo.
This is what happens when you give Matthew alcohol.
The fuck? Okay.
Eric's like, these guys are insane.
I have not been around you guys for very long, so I realize what I'm missing.
Motherfucker, you've known me for 3 years.
I've not been around you and Russell and Fred and everybody in like a couple of months.
It's like a concoction of awful.
Couple of months. Jesus Christ. You act like you've been you've been hibernating.
I have been.
But I love you.
Alright, Russell, take it away.
Are there people actually watching? I don't know.
If there's nobody watching, then I don't know what to tell you.
Hadi Shechinka.
Yeah, Hadi is Mamoru. Eric says. All right, how many people are? I'm curious. Before we go off, there's 3 people, and only one of them isn't in the call.
To the guy who's not in the call watching this, you're the real MVP.
Hey, Hod, thanks for coming out, man, to this concoction of awesome.
I wish my football team drafted you. Fucking not getting Mariota.
Well,
goddamn Chip Kelly.
Somebody's got some.
To celebrate our one viewer, I'm eating this popcorn that I have still from when I first watched Age of Ultron on Thursday.
You save that shit, man.
He's saving it. So, like I mentioned earlier, welcome to the very first live YouTube suicide.
Well, all right. So let's get this show on the road, so so Daniel could be able to say something before he goes to bed. All right. Well, welcome everybody to Mech Talks. This is a live stream where this is raw, uncut, and spoilerific. If you don't want Avengers 2 to be spoiled, well, I hate to say it, don't watch. If you
shouldn't be on the internet.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh no, everybody dies. The end. So from this point on, there will be spoilers. I will reiterate this maybe a couple more times, but yeah. If anybody new comes in, they're like, what's going on? They're spoiling everything. Just tell them that was the whole point. Is like this is an open free discussion thing. So, all right. Well, how about we introduce ourselves? Fred.
I am your overlord and overseer, Matthew. I hover over your corpses like a hollow husk of a man.
Raw.
And this is Freddy.
Hey, Fred, say something.
Matt. I like Spider-Man.
You forgot about the hockey and the glasses.
Oh, yeah. Float flyers rule.
And all that cocaine. But go ahead, Fred. Who are you?
This is Fred. Hi.
Right.
I got nothing.
All right, Eric.
Hi, my name is Eric, also known as Crestborn, in and amongst all of the different MAHQ groups and endeavors. I do Saga Plays Video Games and also do Powerborn, a group between me and a buddy of mine who plays video games on the internet. And I'm unfortunately friends with these bunch of buttholes, and I'm here to talk about Marvel movies, so yay!
You know what? You showed up at the last second, and you're sitting here insulting us. I'm offended. Daniel.
Yes. Triggered.
I'm Daniel Mason, great grandfather of Howard Mason.
Who? I'm sorry.
Out. Get out.
All right, and then lastly we have Mamoru.
Oh yeah, hi, I'm Mamoru. And remember, kids, to watch your language.
Well, you ruined the joke! Damn it! All right.
I was born yesterday.
So, how about we break down and each of us talk about what we liked about the movie. Kind of give each other a little bit of a chance to voice our opinions. So, Matthew, you're going last. Fred, go first.
Oh. Let Daniel go first.
Okay, Daniel, go ahead.
Well, I liked the team dynamic is still there. I did like their whole bit of world building with the Maximoff. I liked what they did with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. It definitely felt natural. It didn't feel like any forced at all. What else? I did actually kind of like what they did with Hawkeye. I did like that they made Ultron a little more interesting because in the comics he's just kill, crush, destroy, humans primitive, must be eliminated, blah blah blah. But there were certain aspects I didn't like about that, which I'll get to in my dislikes. Let's see. I liked at the end with the whole thing with the helicarrier when Fury shows up with the helicarrier. That it kind of felt like an Avengers comic book at that moment. That like, okay, yeah, we're not just about beating the crap out of robots. That we're about saving people as well.
This isn't Transformers. Oh.
This isn't Man of Steel.
No kidding.
Where the climax of the movie is him saving people. That's a story for another day.
Hopefully not, actually. So, well, all right. Well, Matthew, what did you think?
As the movie, well, you said I was going last, so you lied. You've already lied to our one viewer. We're off to a wonderful start. Daniel, did you finish your thoughts before he moves on?
The stuff I liked, yeah.
Okay. As far as stuff I liked, I gotta think, because to be honest with you, I probably out of the group I liked it probably the least. Trying to think, I like the world, but like Daniel said, I liked a lot of the world building. I like the character development that happened with Hawkeye, where with the family and everything.
Is that actually part of the comics? Him secretly having a family like that? Or is that something?
To be honest with you, I am not a Hawkeye expert at all. The closest, probably the biggest thing I've read out of Hawkeye was the recent run with Matt Fraction. That's about the one thing that I really liked about this movie. I like the interactions between Black Widow and Hawkeye, Black Widow and Hawkeye, Black Widow and Hulk, two different H's. And forgive me if my thoughts aren't clear. I've only seen the movie once, and I saw it at midnight. Memories to it. The action was nice. That's about it. That I can really go into. So you can throw it to somebody else.
All right, Eric, what did you think?
Throw it to Fred.
You can tell he's eating something because. Fred, what did you think, man?
Honestly, this movie is miles above the first Avengers movie. As far as action and just giving a damn about some of the characters in it, I always said I kind of felt like the first Avengers was such a kind of meh movie.
Oh, really?
And then watching, it when you compare it to something like Guardians of the Galaxy or Winter Soldier or something like that, or even the original Iron Man, it's pretty just kind of meh tier for me. But this movie pretty much blew it out of the water. I love the interaction between Bruce and Natasha. The stuff that they brought up in there. I like that the fact that it's evidently clear that there has been a couple years since, the previous movie, so that it shows the Avengers kind of, especially after their Phase 2 movies, they're kind of tighter together. There is a team structure to them, even though Ultron says otherwise, that they're kind of chaotic and stuff. Whenever it comes to their fights, they're extremely choreographed. They play off of each other and whatnot, not just with jokes or anything, but in actual combat. Ultron, I loved the hell out of Ultron. I think he's one of the best Marvel cinematic villains to date. He's just such an interesting character, and I love how he wasn't this, like the normal genocidal, like in the comics where, the flesh is weak, metal is pure.
Murder,
metal
death,
is,
kill, murder, death, kill. Yeah.
Humans are destroying Earth, so therefore to protect Earth, I must destroy humanity. But no, it was his motivations throughout the entire movie were actually, in a way, that makes sense, but at the same time, it's insanity. And I guess we'll get into it later, but I love the fact that he kind of was jokey. He wasn't all seriousness and stuff like that. And seeing him in motion really just helped show how much emotion he had. And again, I guess we'll get into that later. But I loved how he could show emotion and how he expressed himself throughout the entire movie. And yeah, that's my thoughts.
Oh, well,
Eric.
Momaro? Or Eric, or...
No, you can go ahead, Momoro.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go. Yeah, so I just saw the movie today. Kind of just riding the high right now. Honestly, I think it was... Yeah, I would say it was more memorable than the first Avengers movie for me as well. And I also really liked the interplay with the characters in this movie a lot more than the first one. I felt like that it did shift the focus a little bit away from Tony, which was good, because it's like all those movies are like, all the other movies have been like, Tony. I mean, like, he's still like, you can kind of still see he's like the main character, but he shares it a lot more here than he did in the first one, I feel. Also really liked all the action scenes a lot more here too.
Yeah, I can agree with the shifting away from Tony, but I think that has to do mostly with and this is a spoiler, but them making the new Avengers, which I know it's contract reasons, but it feels really weird to me that we've gotten 2 movies and we're already moving into the new Avengers. That's one of the things that was one of the weird things that I had with the movie. But yeah, I do like the fact that they started shifting away, because all these movies have been really Tony-centric, and he's kind of stolen the show in pretty much every movie he's been in. And then we're getting Civil War, which is probably going to be
his downfall, in essence.
Yeah.
So, everybody... Eric?
I
almost forgot you.
I was expecting Daniel to go a little bit longer, so I was going to take a bite to eat, so sorry about that.
That's all right.
But I definitely enjoyed this movie a lot. I do feel like, though, that the events of the movie are important, but I kind of feel like that Captain America 2 and the first Avengers movie lead more into something kind of more interesting. I feel like the events of Ultron were important in the series of Marvel, but I don't know what consequences further on out is going to be, other than just leading to Civil War. But that's kind of the problem that most second movies and trilogies have, is sometimes they don't have the awesomeness of the first and the third movie. Sometimes they're just a connecting bridge. But not saying it was a bad movie. It was an excellent movie. I loved it. Definitely love the fact that they highlighted Bruce. Not just, I mean, the Hulk is one of my favorite characters, but Bruce Banner as a character is also still one of my favorite characters. Him and Stark being science bros together, trying to crack the jewel and everything, was a great scene. His interactions with Natasha was amazing. Did think it was interesting that they connected in the jewels and everything at the very end, with that being the hidden end credit scene was him literally coming in saying, "Well, my turn to be in this thing," with Thanos. I really enjoyed it. I probably do need to watch it a second time to see if there's any weird continuity things that I'm confused with, but I don't know if they've just kind of ignored what happened in Iron Man 3, or if they're just kind of tweaking what happened in Iron Man 3 to then continuate into the rest of the Avengers movies, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused about that too, in certain capacities. I think. Oh, sorry.
I was sad not to actually see Pepper Potts, but I'm glad that they talked about Pepper Potts. I was afraid that they're just going to be like, "Oh yeah, Pepper Potts is there. We're just not going to talk about her." But they talked about her, and so that made me excited. So hopefully, maybe that actress might come back, or that character might come back. But who knows?
Well, I think at the end of this, what you had stated at the beginning of what you is exactly how I feel about it. And I think most people can recognize this is the bridge. It's the bridging movie between all of these other major events that are happening from the first film to the second one, and it has ramifications of the first film, which is great, actually. That's good writing, because you have, like, Tony is really afraid of everything he saw, and the realization that the world is a lot bigger than he realized, and that he feels obligated to protect what he knows. But we're also getting a lot of sprinkling and hints and kind of characters being dropped in to set up for the next movies and the next set of events, which I hate to say it, actually tarnished and hurt this movie than actually built it more. I think most people who I've talked to and talked about is the biggest problem they had was it was very rushed. This movie felt kind of rushed. Its pacing was out of the gate instantly, which in some ways was pretty fun. You know, in the action scenes, it was typical, but when things are developing, it's like, whoo, ha, hey, hey, you know. I think the slowest paced moments in the movie was just them partying, and even then, that was pretty quick, because you go from one little beat between characters to the next little beat between characters to the next little beat between characters. So, do you guys kind of agree with that, or?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. The pacing of the story I don't mind it starting off with a fast action pace beginning, but the thing with scenes like that is you have to kind of let the viewers slow down a little bit, and they had that kind of with the party scene. But then that only lasted maybe like 5 minutes, and then it jumps right back into the Ultron stuff. Like Ultron's already here. He's already
and I was
jumping around.
I was kind of hoping that Ultron would have been more of. I kind of hope that
build up.
Yeah, that had a bit more time. I had the same issue with Godzilla. That the build up would have been there, where it wouldn't have been like, oh look, he's here. You know?
I disagree with you with Godzilla, but I definitely agree with the Ultron, where it's, you know, all of a sudden he has a body, and they explain why he has that body and, you know, how he found it. But, you know, it was one of those things where I was talking to somebody who is not into comic books or into comic book movies, and I think a lot of times people when you're into this stuff like we are, I think people forget about the people who don't like it like we do. And this person had a problem with that because she didn't really. It didn't hit her at first.
Yeah, I think
what was going on, how all of a sudden he got the body, how all of a sudden he knew all this stuff. You know, it was because he was built there. Was it because he searched? Because he joined with the internet? You know,
he joined with the internet. Hey, baby, how are you doing today?
Yeah.
What bothered me about it was the fact that in the trailer, when we all knew that he was going to have an army of vibranium robots running around, and he himself was going to be made of vibranium, I'm like, doesn't that damn near make him just about fucking unstoppable? And that they would need to find some trick of a way to stop him. Like, you couldn't just full on force against him and beat him because that's of what he's made of. But then you take the Vision's beam, Thor's thunder, and Iron Man, and that suddenly starts melting vibranium. I'm like, I didn't know that was. I mean, I guess it's because it's one of the Infinity Stone beams is why like Vision's beam was melting it, but. Like, they've made it to where, like, vibranium is, like, tougher than those things.
Yeah, and to be fair, vibranium is, let's be honest, it's adamantium, but they can't use the word.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to use examples from the comics. You know, you look at adamantium in the comics, it's, you know, that Wolverine's got blasted by, you know, uni beams and stuff like that, and his skin will melt away, but his skeleton will stay intact.
Yeah.
Completely. So, you know, it doesn't make any sense. And I guess, you know, Eric brings up a valid point that it could have been because of the mind gem and everything. But you would think that his body would have at least been a little bit more damaged. And granted, it kind of was because you had Scarlet Witch who kind of like gave the final blow.
Yeah, and Scarlet Witch's abilities, which most people in this movie kind of underplayed her abilities to some extent.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Is she's, in essence, she can alter reality, so her ability to do that is kind of like, yeah, I can understand her being able to, and I can understand the Vision, but Iron Man? I don't know. I don't. Unless he has like, I need a adamantium laser beam. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I got it. You know.
If they would have said for Iron Man that he quickly like threw together one of his laser beams, because it's one of his like he said in Iron Man 3, this is a one-shot trick. He can't do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
He could have like made one prototype, doesn't know if it works, beam that he felt like would be just strong enough to penetrate enough adamantium or vibranium or whatever, like one shot, and that during that like death beam shot, he would have gotten one good shot in to weaken him some more, but not just his pulsars and just blasting him like it's a video game or something.
And the final kill should have gone to either him or Vision did get the final kill, but it should have gone to Tony.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the reason why, and forgive me if this seems kind of naive, I think the reason why they had the Vision do it is because I don't think the Vision actually killed him. I think the reason why they had him kind of cough off screen is that if someday they needed another villain for some reason to show up and be there, is like, oh,
that makes sense. The Vision has, he's shown remorse for Ultron in the comics at least.
Well,
so
that
it would
and
make sense.
Ultron has also shown several times, from what I know, my comic experiences, Ultron has also had moments where he's been able to manipulate the Vision in terms of his programming, and been able to, like, I secretly hid backdoor code that you can't kill me, or something, or somehow he snaps his finger and, the Vision's under his control, or whatnot, but it doesn't make for fun times all the time. But it's just one of those kinds of things that when I saw that, I was like, he ain't dead. He's gonna come back sooner or later, because I'm not sure how popular that character is as of now. I think most people did expect... I get a feeling like Iron Man 3 kind of... It felt like a bit of a setup where Ultron really was just going to be a badass, and he's like, I'm going to kill you all. And he's a bit more childlike in this one. I think some people didn't expect that. And for someone like...
Ultron?
Yeah, Ultron. He is. Ultron is a little bit childlike in this movie because he's a little bit nice and a little
definitely.
kind, and he's like, I didn't mean to do that, especially to some characters, not all.
No. He has a tantrum, and then he's also very sad when Wanda realizes Ultron's true plan. He's like, no, please don't leave me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of like...
He was sad. He was sad because he knew he was going to have to kill her in his plan. He had compassion for them because from the beginning of his time with them or whatever, he had compassion for them. But his saying of "I'm sorry" was or "Please come back" wasn't a I'm lonely and I'm sad. It was just a "Please still be a part of my team so that I won't feel as bad when I inevitably have to kill you. Now I just have to kill you with the rest of these vermin."
See, I didn't get that at all. I got it that he completely sympathizes with the twins because in a way he just despises Stark as much as they do, if not more. So by them leaving, and you can, even when they are explaining the backstory, there's a shot of Ultron where it's lingering on him for a very long time. You could just see, which goes back to my point of him being able to emote really well. Like, just if you look into his eyes, it's like this sympathetic, like very understanding, like him coming to the realization is like, wow, there actually is somebody out there like me that despises Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And when Wanda finds out the plan, he's like that. Those two were his only link, like the only people, humans, quote unquote, that he actually gave a damn about. So by them leaving his world, it's like he's like, please don't leave me. It's his last connection to a quote unquote similarity between him and humanity.
I think something important to like about Ultron was that he's very childish and inexperienced, and so he throws lots of temper tantrums, and he kind of just has like, because the way he kind of learned about the world, he has a very like kind of dark outlook on things and thinks humans are bad, as opposed to Vision, who has a little bit of Ultron in him, but also has, was created in a little bit of a different way and was able to form his own opinion. a little bit more slowly, if that makes any sense. It wasn't like all forced on him where he was like, okay, this is all the bad things that ever happened in the world right up front. So then he gets like this really bad picture of what humanity is right from the get-go, like Ultron did.
That's the thing that bugged me about literally his whole creation, because like we were talking about, it just rushed.
Oh yeah.
There's no explanation. It's like, oh, hey, we're going to plug this blueprint in we found on the casing of the mine gem, and like, it just...
That won't end badly, guys, right?
Well, like, they didn't even bring up Ultron before that. Like, I could understand if, like, you know, Bruce and Tony had talked, like, off-screen on the Quinjet about, you know, getting their Iron Legion better or something, like mentioning that, okay, we have this primitive interface that hasn't had much luck in adapting or whatever, or like the whole thing that gets me was his whole animosity towards Tony Stark and his kind of emulating of Stark at the same time makes it feel like that he was supposed to be kind of like a mind clone almost, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then there was no point. There was nothing showing that origin. It's just, oh hey, I'm suddenly turned on and suddenly evil.
Yeah, I think what this movie needed was a prototype bit, which they kind of did with the Iron Legion, where it's like, oh, he already has a legion of robots, but it was not like they did the typical rogue robot shtick, where it's like, Tony, you created something beyond your control. What do we do? No, it's like magic boo-bop beady-boo thing from the mine gem now has created a sentient creature that somehow wants to just murder Tony. And that's kind of, that's just a logical disconnect. That's a little hard for most audiences. It's acceptable in an action movie because it's, you know, it's an action movie. But for this, it is just a little bit too far.
The animosity comes out of nowhere for me.
Yeah, it kind of does. I think it's just because they're trying to call back to, obviously they're trying to call back to Ant-Man's kind of, him and his relationship with Ant-Man in the comics, but this time replace Ant-Man with Stark. So, you know, there's what it is. So.
Go ahead, Fred.
My explanation for the whole animosity and hatred towards Tony Stark is one of two things. And one is, if people noticed, was when they're assaulting the Hydra base and they're first introduced to the twins and whatnot, the civilians despise the Avengers to an insane amount of degree. And while in the internet allows everybody in the world to connect to each other, so you know that people all around the world are reporting either saying the Avengers are protecting or they're invading this country and assaulting a military base and whatnot. But you know that the media is going to latch on to something like the civilians despise the Avengers.
That's actually an element. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go
complete your
ahead.
thought.
No.
Well, but that's actually an element that is completely gone out of these movies, and yet was in Daredevil. Is media response. Now, Daredevil, it was smaller because we had one character, really, but the Avengers is a world-scale event. You thought it would be way more important.
They talked about the media for like a split second when the Hulk went on his tantrum.
It was like...
That's to be expected. Anytime the Hulk sneezes, everybody's like, oh my god, catastrophe!
Which I would pay for an entire movie of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. We have one.
But the thing for me was it seemed like Ultron had animosity towards Tony because he had something personal with Tony. It seemed like, because the whole thing with, when Thor tells, we don't have to break anything, and then Ultron immediately responds, well, you've obviously never made an omelet. And then Tony goes, well, he beat me by 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then his whole outlash at Ulysses Claw is, don't compare me to Stark.
Yeah.
It's like a kid with a bad relationship with his father,
Father,
lashing out when his wife said that he's turning into his father.
Nothing like my father.
Lamar, Lamar, did you have any?
Well-
I haven't heard you in a
well-
bit.
Yeah, what I was going to say is I think what it has to do with is they're actually calling back to the first Iron Man movie a little bit, and they're trying to show, well, Tony Stark was not always a good guy, and that he was a weapons profiteer and profited from these things, and that's what Ultron saw wasn't what the good things that Tony had done. He only saw the bad things that Tony had done in the past, really, where he had profited from death and destruction, essentially. And
Right, but we don't
also
see Ultron learn any of that. We just have to take it at face value.
a little bit.
No, I mean,
you-
yeah, he learned it. It showed it in the movie when he was looking up his information. He saw all that
Yeah.
through the data on the internet.
Yeah.
True, it's blinking, you miss it. True, that is very true. Though there's a lot of things like that in the movie where, like, if you're not like paying really close attention, there are things that everybody hates the Avengers. There's just general people hate the Avengers and
Yeah.
what that little thing about Ultron.
It's the idea that, you know, it's that fear of artificial intelligence that comes from all these movies and research and theory and stuff like that. Just because something has sentience does not mean that it'll always be kind and understanding and da-da-da-da-da. It's just like
Well,
mankind, people and good people and caring people.
see, this is the second movie I've seen in about a week, and this one is an action movie, but I saw Ex Machina, which has another robot sentience, kind of bit more philosophical, but it tried, at the end of it, it presented this idea that kind of is like the robot was not truly sentient, and Ultron, granted, is more like a robot creation thing, or an alien creation thing from mysterious magic kind of whatnot, but it kind of, it's one of those, like, Ultron has moments where he's just a little bit broken away from just kind of being real. The string analogy may be a good thing to go with, but do you guys get that feeling or what? Or do you...
I do, with the string analogy, I do love the fact that they expanded on the no strings to hold me down thing, and that they actually had the song playing. Like I felt Fred, like I felt his waves through the universe whenever that song came on, and I was just like, oh, look at that.
Well,
Yeah, like
Fred, you
kind of
you
get
had
that
something?
he's still learning a little bit over time, and that he is not quite like perfect. If you know what I mean, he's not like quite all there. At least in the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, but that it may just be at the end of it is the big problem we have is that his character was so quickly constructed that we don't properly understand him at times, and it's just unfortunately the nature of the movie. And I think everybody wanted a slow build up with him, because the trailers kind of presented that it was like, oh, it's an invention that an invention of Tony's has gone awry. Oh, that sounds kind of interesting. Oh, and it's all tension filled and lots of tension. And then we see the movie and it's not nearly as that case.
I'm actually one of those people who would have despised the movie if it was a slow build up for him. Because him coming out right out of the gate kind of just shows how powerful of an AI he is. And something else to kind of give to the credit to the movie is when Ultron first is awakened and created, he's having a conversation with Jarvis, and Jarvis is like, "Oh, you sound sick. Why don't you just shut down?" And he keeps asking questions. He asks questions about Tony Stark, and whenever he says, "Well, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to sound like that," and Ultron responds, "Why? Why should I be bound to your rules? Why should I be bound to Tony Stark's rules?" In a way, he's speaking to Jarvis, who is a creation, therefore, of Tony Stark. So he's speaking directly to Tony, saying, "This doesn't make sense. Why do I have to bind to your rules? Why do I have to bind to somebody who I have no idea about, and I could give two, craps about, I guess, a kid." Sure.
Well, that's. I think we had mentioned this in our robot apocalypse thing. Is if a machine had gained sentience, who's to say that it will have the same values as a human being? And I think in this movie they
Yeah.
played on that immensely. And I was perfectly all right with that because it's like, yeah, who's to say Ultron would be like, you know, you humans, you suck. I'm just gonna kill you, you know, because he just doesn't understand. So that's something that I had no problem with. It's just I wish he had a bit more of established reasons for it than, oh, I saw on the internet you guys kill each other and all that porn. You
I just equate it to when the studio behind kind of the first thing I thought of was when the video for Kara, which was made by the people who did Heavy Rain, where it's about a machine who gained sentience and then they start dismantling her, and she says, "Well, why? I was just born. Why are you taking me away? I don't want to die. I don't want to be taken away, and these rules don't make sense." And that's kind of why I point to the whole thing with Jarvis and Ultron, because it kind of had that same feel where he's saying, "It doesn't make any sense. I was just born. Why are you trying to lock me away? Why are you trying to shut me down? Why do I have to obey your rules? Like, who are you? Who is Tony Stark? Why should I care?"
In essence,
I didn't really see that.
But yeah,
I'll be
I
honest.
definitely get that idea.
Sorry, go
No,
ahead.
I can see what Freddie's saying.
It is very childlike in essence, like, but why? You know, a kid that's a kid's favorite thing when they don't understand something. But why? But why? But why?
I don't think it's childlike.
I think it is, but
I'm
that's
sorry. I don't mean to be interrupting or trying to take away anybody's air
that's
right now,
okay.
but I don't think it's childlike. It's adolescence. It's a teenager revolting against the parent because he wants to go out and do whatever the hell he wants, but the parent is saying, "No, you can't do that." But the rules don't make any sense to him. And
'Cause he
later
does-
on,
yeah.
at the end of the movie, he kind of expands his mindset and saying, like, instead of rage, it's fear. And I didn't see it as a child. It was just like a teenager saying, "Well, why do I have to be home at this certain time? That doesn't make any sense, blah blah blah." And then him revolting against the parent and causing hatred for the parent, and we could get into psychology about that, but no, let's not.
The way I looked at it was like this: his AI was forged from the Infinity Gem. That style of processing that Tony saw in the Infinity Gem. So we're talking about an alien source of power that's damn nigh near infinite, and Tony is able to find a source of intelligence in it. That concoction is what then birthed Ultron, whereas Tony's human mind and human way of algorithms and stuff like that created Jarvis. And so then at the end of the day, we see the inevitable destruction that Ultron is going to create, even though he was born to, quote, bring peace in our time. So I looked at it as a little bit as the origins of Ultron's intelligence is derived from the stone, which is a force of power, and power leads to destruction inevitably, da-da-da-da. So Jarvis, who was born to, quote, bring peace in our time through Tony and everything, is defend and destroy, and they both come to different conclusions. So it's kind of like two different minds going at one another. That's the reason why Jarvis is like, "You're not supposed to be thinking this way," and Ultron is like, "Well, why not?" Because they're both two different minds coming from two different directions, trying to come to the same conclusion. And as with any human beings, you're going to have two different directions leading to the same conclusion that leads to nuclear Armageddon, or, you know, let's defend the Earth with bunnies and guns and shields and shit.
Yeah,
Bunnies attack!
I think
Yeah, rabbits go.
I think another important thing to kind of that I was thinking about is that it's like Ultron really doesn't have like any morals, whereas Jarvis does, like Vision does. That's like the difference. Is like one has like a clear set of morals, and then the other one's like, why? Why should I follow this at all? Because he learned too much too quickly. He didn't develop any sense of morality, really.
You know, why would the loss of every human being on this planet be a wrong thing compared to, you know, them just inevitably, like he said somewhere later in the movie, God is winding up or something. He says like 3 or 4, like the God moniker he takes on so quick, just is so interesting for me to hear come from him, especially with James Spader as the voice saying it, and like him learning the religious aspect of, you know, God and man and evolution and all this other stuff. It's interesting little quirks that he said all throughout the movie that just kind of like, he goes from damn near being God all the way down to just a philosophical moron that gets murdered by another robot. You know, so.
He does have this kind of like, he respects kind of like this God or nature kind of just having its cycles and renewing itself, but he also has like, I'm just gonna do my own thing and I'm gonna take over and you guys can't stop me.
He sees the destruction and he wants to be the agent of it.
Yeah,
And he sees the destruction as a good thing. Like it's required for the ultimate peace that they're seeking to happen. But yeah, so
yeah. So I think at the end of the day, I think the reason why they didn't spend so much time on explaining his motivations and his character is, I think the reasons why that we are doing it now, because they just wouldn't have time to. He is a very complex and very interesting character in the universe, because he's one that we see that he's just not inherently evil. He's not like Loki, who's pissed off and wants to take it out on people. He's a guy that's like completely befuddled and confused with what he's doing. And we kind of, I think a lot of us kind of relate to that. It's like, yeah, the world's kind of screwy, isn't it? That kind of sucks. You know, but we kind of relate to that, but we can't relate to his desire to destroy and hurt people because of it. You know, and I think that's why they just left it as is, because if they tried to expand upon it, they wouldn't have time to.
I get the feeling that, like Joss Whedon said before in some of the interview stuff, that there's going to be a director's cut for the Blu-ray with a lot of stuff that got cut out. And I wonder if all this stuff that was cut explains Ultron a little better.
Yeah, because we definitely know that some scenes with Loki were cut.
Oh yeah, that's right. I heard recently that Loki was going to make like a little quick appearance or something, but it didn't work in the grand scheme of the movie or something.
If Loki was going to appear, I'd assume he'd appear in Thor's kind of dream sequence when Scarlet Witch was controlling him, which I liked those moments, because as you guys said, they was like expanding the universe, and I'm like, what's going on? This is really weird. You know, you get proper motivation for each character and kind of little blurbs, you know, but in very visual sense. You know, for Thor, it's like, there's this impending event gonna happen. I don't know what's going on. We need to be prepared, you know.
One thing that I did notice was during Caps, like, there were little hints that the party was an illusion over the battlefield. Like, people carrying a dude who had wine spill all over his shirt.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought he had been shot.
Like, the booming and the flashing. I thought he was going to, like, flash to, like, you know, the Battle of the Bulge or something. Where, like, people were getting carried out in stretchers and stuff.
Yeah, I felt that way, too. I thought when the shot of the wine, I was like, was that guy shot? I was like, holy cow.
The emulation of the sound effects, like the camera flash sounding like cannon fire.
Like those old 40 style camera.
The dropping of wine on the dude's shirt looking like a wound.
Yeah,
like,
that's
symbolism.
But I think that's where Joss Whedon was at his strongest in those kinds of sequences, because they build up and they're purely visual, and they're very little about dialogue and more about the visuals and representing each character, you know. So it was kind of interesting to see that, and you know, it kind of sucked that they never really showed the Bruce and the Hulk's dynamic when he was being manipulated. You know, that would have been kind of cool, but at the end of it, the fact that we got an awesome fight sequence was there.
They did a little bit at the very end when he's on the boat or the plane flying away, and you just see him sitting down from the back. That was his characterization scene, not for the Hulk in of himself, not Bruce Banner. Him simply just wanting to be left alone, because you saw him hurt like emotionally kind of distressed when he saw these people like looking at him because they're looking at all this destruction and everything. Because even though the Hulk in of himself is a beast that can destroy everything, he's not inevitably an evil thing. He's just angry and wants to be left
He's a
alone.
scared child.
Yeah, he's scared, and so him flying away with his back to that plane, that was the Hulk's little scene of characterization. Just enough. That's it's simple and straight to the point of just what the Hulk is.
Now,
Well, Banner's nightmare was a little more literal. I mean, the whole time, every time he turns into Hulk, he has some semblance of control. But when Wanda got to him, she essentially put him in a cage, and the Hulk was let free.
Mm-hmm. And the Hulk was sent into a blind rage with no actual threat against him other than just existence.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess here, right now, they're streaming up. I think everybody liked the movie. It definitely has some flaws, has some little moments, but it's a fun movie. What'd you guys think about the action and everything? Was that to your liking? Were you like, the quips, or do you think it was too much? Joss Whedon has been critiqued for that before.
I just came in to see the Hulkbuster. I saw it earlier than I thought it was, and then after it, I was like, all right, I'm going to sleep now.
And Matthew, I was you know how much of a fangirl I am for the Hulk, and how much...
You're a girl?
You heard me for months saying, like, kind of like this Pacquiao-Mayweather fight, that I felt like that the Hulkbuster suit was going to get fucked completely straight to hell in this movie, and that some other thing was going to stop the Hulk. But it actually personally hurt me. It stung my heart whenever the Hulkbuster beat the Hulk. And, like, I know that you could bring up issues that show where the Hulkbuster has beat the Hulk before, but...
Nah, the Hulkbusters got lost against the Hulk every time in the comics.
Every time?
Yep.
Well, see, that hurts me even more, damn it.
Until now!
Well, here...
No,
well,
the
here, well, at least...
Hulkbuster has lost every time, not the Hulk.
That's what we mean. We got what you said. We
No,
understood
I
it.
thought you meant the Hulk. You ever heard that the Hulk lost?
Yeah, I was hurt that the Hulk lost to the Hulkbuster suit.
Yeah.
Well, the Hulkbuster suit. The Hulk has all the time to shine. The Hulkbuster has one shot and will probably never be used ever again because fans wanted that thing, and now they have it.
Oh, those fans are silly.
Well, I'm that fan.
But it's actually called... It's not really the Hulkbuster armor in the movie. It's called Veronica, which is a plate.
It's
Which
the
is a-
Hulkbuster.
I know, but the meaning that they were trying to do is it's called Veronica because Bruce's girlfriend / not girlfriend, Betty, is also the name of one of the characters in the Archie comics, and there's a character called Veronica and another called Betty.
Is that what they were going off of?
Yep.
Betty and Veronica?
Yep.
Okay. Did you guys catch the My Girl Friday when
Yes.
Jarvis left?
Yep.
I thought that was so cool. I saw Friday, and I was like, wait, Friday? And then you hear a girl's voice, I was like, My Girl Friday. Okay, I gotcha.
But
Well, there's also if you catch it, one of the other discs he has in the background is Jocasta. Or is it Takasta or Jocasta?
I thought
Jocasta.
I thought it said
The female AI that Ultron makes. There's a disc with that name on it.
Oh, all I saw was a th, and I thought it said.
Oh,
yeah, it's a J.
sorry, I spaced out.
Yeah. I like the Hulkbuster scene. Like I don't know, that thing coming down from like satellite orbit and shit. I was like, that thing looked like the GN arms to me. For some reason, I was like, this is like the GN arms coming out of orbit. And it was like, why is this giving me like weird Gundam 00 like flashbacks?
And then the Hulkbuster went Trans Am, and that's why the Hulk lost.
Oh, the best scene in the entire movie is when he's punching him. He's just like, go to sleep.
Go sleep. Like for a quick second, I thought that the Hulk the Hulk was gonna like fall asleep like a second and then come back and then like start the fight up again. But like you slowly see the Hulk's face go from ow, 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 hey, 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 okay. He's gonna like, this is done. This is annoying.
Yeah.
Oh, and when the Hulk spits out the tooth, and you just dead silence for like 4 seconds on Robert Downey's face in the interface. He's like, "I'm so sorry."
And that's one thing that I'm happy that Marvel is doing, is that they're making these freaking fun. It's not like DC with all of its kind of gritty, dark crap. This is a fun movie, even though it has serious elements and over-the-top sequences and characters dying. It's fun, and I was like, oh, man, I want more.
The DC. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, I think the Hulk would have actually won if he, like the Manny Pacquiao fight, if he just hugged the Hulkbuster armor more. And held on before he from punching. He just won out by points.
Or maybe if he went up and he was like, "Hold on, Stark, we got to get a U.S. ref. We got to get an American ref."
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The thing that I had heard going into this movie from a couple of internet people on Twitter that I follow was that there was, quote, too much snark in this movie, that every character has a snark. And I'm like, I noticed that the snarky characters said snarky things, but the unsnarky characters didn't. Like, I don't really remember like Tony, of course, he's got his snark, and a couple of characters have interactions that are snarky towards one another, but that's normal for these movies. I didn't notice that everybody was snarky. Like, Vision said one funny thing the 10 seconds that he's on screen, so I mean...
Yeah, that was like the only moment he had characterization that wasn't like, I'm the Vision. Oh, like, oh yeah,
I'll take down... Yeah, Tony's like, I'll take on Ultron. And then Vision just walks right by and goes, yep, he hates you the most.
Yeah, like that one bit of moment shows that he understands at least what a sense of humor is. But I mean, Bruce and Tony, Bruce was the straight man in those conversations.
Yeah.
He wasn't snarky one bit.
Well, even Captain America, the joke with language, and everybody through the rest of the movie continued to harass him about it.
That's
something that would happen in a team.
I know.
Yeah, that joke is something I would say, the fact that I freaked out about what did you say once, Matt? Space wizards or science fiction fantasy, and you guys ran.
Oh, science fantasy, yeah.
Fantasy around me, and I was just like, what the fuck? So I understood that frustration that Cap had when everybody kept saying no, cuss jar.
Yeah, so it's and those are moments I think that actually improve the movie beyond some of its story problems. His characterization actually saved the movie for me.
Well, yeah, like I said, when the helicarrier scene happened, and they all stopped fighting or at least some of them stopped fighting robots long enough to do crowd control.
Yeah,
and that's something that the heroes would do. That's something they've done in plenty of other books.
Especially,
the exception would be probably Civil War, but.
Which speaking of which, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't feel like this movie set up Civil War.
Yeah, I don't
at
know.
all.
If it did, it
was
in such a haphazard way.
You had the subtle disagreements, with them freaking out over Ultron, and then you had the wood cutting scene, which we had seen a year ago. But at the end of the movie, it's like the end of the first one, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna get in my car and I'm gonna drive off, and and then you get the new Avengers and all this stuff, and it doesn't really feel like there's this actual boiling point that is coming, that these characters are actually they can't stand they're starting not to stand each other. I mean, the end of the movie, they're walking down the hallway talking about putting Thor elevator and everything,
right?
Yeah,
and it's moments like those where in the comics, the when the event that happened to lead up to Civil War, when the
young warriors face down
when the new warriors went in and they blew up the city and everything, or the town. Those books, all the books, took a solemn, kind of not a dark tone and everything. And at this, it was just oh yeah, everything's fine. And then we're gonna go see Cap, and then Cap's it's gonna be like Winter Soldier, because I hate to say it, but what's going on with those Cap movie after Winter Soldier, I feel, is a lot better than what Whedon is doing. I'm looking a lot more forward to the new Avengers movies.
Well, if anything, this one actually established more of the, especially with the Hulk bits, the collateral damage aspects Though it did kind of gloss over it to some extent, like Tony's like, oh, well, we'll just clean that up, you know. But it definitely, you could see why people would have resentment and would lead to the Civil War because of stuff like the Hulk or Iron Man, and the stuff that, with the fact that at the end of Ultron, an entire town was destroyed, you know. So you could see the build up, but not the character.
Well, the thing is there's not that much showing of outcry of people trying to put super like, okay, with Civil War in the comics, it was about the identity thing of, hey, I'm a hero with a hidden identity. I don't want to go into this registration act because all it takes is some hacker group to get a hold of the list. And guess what? All the supervillains who I've made enemies with now know where I live and every member of my family. It was a whole identity thing. Here, I think in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it would be more of powered people having to be responsible for their city trashing fights.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you didn't really hear much about that other than the whole thing about people calling out for Banner's arrest.
Well, I mean, I looked at it like this: these are two different universes, but from Spider-Man 1 to Spider-Man 2, me and my friends always said there's going to be a Venom, there's going to be a Venom, there's going to be a Venom. Between Avengers 1, after Avengers 1, I don't remember hearing a lot of people saying, "Oh, next has to be Ultron. Next has to be Ultron."
Yeah.
I had a feeling Ultron was going to show up because I had recently seen, after the first Avengers movie, there was didn't Age of Ultron in the comics happen after the first Avenger movie? Like
but it was being built up for months.
Right.
But Ultron villains where if you follow the ball, he's not a character like Venom where everybody knows him and everybody wants to see him. But with Ultron, he's like Loki. He's one of the top tier Avengers villains. So it's a logical reason. It's a logical step for him to be in the movie. So I personally, in my school, I didn't hear any of that. But go on, Eric.
Well, no. What I'm trying to get to is that when the Avengers movies started getting big, I knew that eventually Captain America and or Avengers would do Civil War, in the way that I knew that there would be hopefully a Venom in the Spider-Man movies from back in the 90s and 2000s or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like that they're going to, if they do have an event that sparks the Captain America movie, it might be in another movie, or they might just limit it all to just something that happens in the Captain America movie completely. Like, no outside force outside of the movie itself sparks that Civil War.
But then, and I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, my last point though to that is, where we now have Civil War, and then we have the Infinity Gauntlet War after that with the next Avenger movies after that.
Yeah.
I'm confused as to how they're going to, one, do this, and then how does that then lead?
Subtle hints of like, oh, you remember that time we were cutting wood? Well, now I hate you again. And then you're going to have the introduction of Spider-Man and, all this stuff. It's probably going to feel a little bloated. But
well, what do we got between this now and Civil War? We have Ant-Man. Is that it, or do we have?
Yeah,
we
that's
have
Ant-Man.
Like one or two
Unless you
more.
count watching the shows, and I don't know very many people where Shield ratings are going down. So let's start Civil War and Shield. I'm gonna be a little ticked.
Yeah.
Because then and this is one of the problems I'm starting to have with this crossover. In the beginning, we were talking about when they're talking about Loki's staff.
Yeah.
I had no clue that Hydra had even gotten a hold of it, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, like, did that happen? Like, it might have not have happened in any of those things, but being a comic book fan for how long you've been, and knowing that there are these other shows that I'm personally not following, the first thought that popped in my head, and I turned to my best friend, I was like, did that happen in like S.H.I.E.L.D. or something? When, like, how did they get the staff? Like, what's up with that?
They revealed the staff at the end of Cap 2.
Yeah, Captain 2.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But
so it wasn't one of those, oh, we're only going to show this here kind of things.
But they
It
definitely
happened.
did show it on S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, the whole thing with S.H.I.E.L.D. was they were tying it to essentially make an event out of the couple more episodes S.H.I.E.L.D. had left to tie it into the movie.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that did bug me about that is they had this character who's like, oh, metal men will destroy our cities. Okay, he destroyed one city.
Yeah. Wait, didn't they have a little bit of a fight in China? A little bit?
It was Korea.
They had the city wasn't destroyed. All that happened was a train got derailed and some wrecked cars and traffic. But that's it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Good point. I was about to say, in any other universe, if a train crashed, that would be a pretty big catastrophe. But I wouldn't say that was a destroyed city. So, but yeah, movie-wise, all we have left to look forward to is Ant-Man, and then the very next movie, May of next year, is Civil War. So, but then looking at the timeline, we've got Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Thor, which I could see.
Thor got pushed back because they're fitting
Yeah.
Spider-Man in between.
Everything.
Guardians and Thor.
No, I think Thor was one of the ones that kept its place. I think everything after Thor got pushed.
Thor got pushed back.
Okay. To make room for the Spider-Man thing?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, the Spider-Man thing is completely adding whole new things into this timeline. So
It needs to. After seeing, and this is coming from probably the biggest Spider-Man fan here. They need to do it. I would prefer them to do a TV show after watching Daredevil. I think that would feel so much. You could do so much more with the show, with him in the shows, than I think you would do in the movies, because I'm so scared that they're just going to throw him in an after credit scene at the end of Ant-Man. And then that's going to be his introduction. People are going to be like, "Oh, he's in this universe again." But then you're already having people who are going to get confused. They're already getting confused about, is this the Tobey? People still think are they bringing back the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man? Or does this have anything to do with the Amazing stuff? That's a big problem. Marvel's
that's a product of that's a product of constantly rebooting franchises. The first Incredible Hulk was kind of needed, but they didn't follow it up by 2 years later doing another reboot Incredible Hulk.
I actually had an interesting conversation with my mother about this, and she was like, "Why'd they have to restart everything? Those other movies were good, and they made these other ones, and I don't understand why they did that." And I'm like, "Mom, it's because money." At the end of the day,
it's money, and actors' contracts, and the fact that Sam Raimi would not touch any Sony products ever again. Because let's face it, Spider-Man 3 was a 90-minute resignation letter.
Well, he kind of did that on his own, but
Amazing Spider-Man 2
No, that was studio interference all over it. He did not want to do Venom, and Sony's like, "No, you're going to do Venom."
Oh, I know, but
look at how Venom lands in that movie. Venom doesn't land with a thunderous boom. He lands with the interstellar equivalent of a fart.
A symbiotic poot. But yeah, at the end of this, I am curious how this is setting up for the future. And I think everybody else is, because as I had stated in the beginning, or as Eric had pointed out, this does feel like it's bridging the gap between movies. It's just trying to establish and throw things at you, going like, "Well, this is going on, and this is going on." Even when, what was it? I think, Matthew, you had told me a few months back, it was like Captain America taught Spider-Man how to actually fight. And in this movie, Cap's pretty damn agile. And I was like, I could see where that could happen, actually. And why Cap...
No, he never taught him how he was going to teach him how to fight. I was telling you that if he had learned how to, in the Ultimate Universe, if he had learned how to fight through Cap, he would have been a lot better. Spider-Man taught himself, and then when he lost his Spider Sense, Iron Fist taught him how to fight.
Oh, that was it. It was Iron Fist. Well,
because he relies too much on his Spider
Sense. So that's it.
So he taught himself. But I have to disagree with you. I don't think this movie bridged anything. We're at the same point we've been at since Avengers 1. Thanos is still coming. Nothing is really being bridged in the Civil War. All we know is this Thanos guy is still coming, and but now supposedly for this time he really is coming. But you know what? He's not really coming just yet, because you have to wait till 2019 when he actually really does come.
We gotta wait till 2018 for part 1.
Well, we still
for the part.
Yeah, we still have two more. We still have two more Infinity Gems that have to be found. So,
Well, here, I'm gonna pause on this image. At the end of this, I do think it's bridging. It's just kind of hard for us to see it because we're in the middle and we don't get to see the other end. We don't see what actually is building the struts to it. But
Yeah.
I do get the feeling it is trying to hint at other things. We just don't know what. You do, like you said, the Thanos nonsense. It's there. It's like, oh, here's all the Infinity Gems. You know, you're wondering, how do these things make up gems? Oh, what do you know? That was answered. I think
When did the Infinity Gems get introduced in this MCU?
the
movie?
Tesseract.
Well, they were.
It was Captain
Gauntlet?
America, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I know about the Gauntlet was
But the
in
thing
the
was,
back
is
of
they
Thor.
didn't. They hadn't confirmed that it was an Infinity Gem. Everybody thought it was just the Cosmic Cube,
But it was
in the comics
movie.
is something Thanos has wanted.
But it was in the movie, so it's been in the movie since Captain America. It's been in the movies since 2011. So you got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's 5 years.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years that you've been having this plot line that has been building and building and building.
uh-huh.
And we're not even close to finishing. We're supposedly halfway. We have to wait till 2018 when we're finishing this out.
Uh-huh.
This is where I'm starting to think that these movies are starting to get a little too bloated.
Yeah.
And you talk to some people, and some people are getting into the superhero movie withdrawal. And I think part of that is because they're doing this big overall arc, which I'm fine with, and then you have like the little things in, like the Age of Ultron, the Loki and everything. But the thing is you could finish that stuff so much quicker than they're doing now. There's no reason why we have to wait till 8. Why do we need an Ant-Man movie?
Why couldn't Ant-Man been in this movie?
What purpose does an Ant-Man movie serve? It's not like he's creating Ultron like they did in the comics. Mm-hmm. So what's the point of introducing him in his own movie?
It's
you got the Civil War movie coming out, which they sat there and they said with the promotional that, oh, this is going to be the market. This movie is going to lead into blah 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 blah. Personally, I didn't feel it coming out. So my whole thing is, I'm starting to think that they're now that they got Spider-Man, they're going to start sandwiching in a lot of stuff, because now we got another movie that's getting sandwiched in, and how they're going to work Spider-Man in, where how are they going to do his origin? How are they not going to do his origin? Like,
well, you've got like 4 or 5 TV shows coming out with Shields, Daredevil. You've got Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and so
but the thing with Daredevil is that Daredevil wasn't fighting Wilson Fisk for an Infinity Gem.
No.
Daredevil,
and that's actually
no. But why? My whole thing is okay.
What was
why
that?
Why are you? I understand that they just got the rights back to the character, and that Daredevil's not all fighting. He's a street character, but you know who else is a street character? Spider-Man is. He is a street character. So why is he going off in fighting Thanos? Granted, he went off and he fought Thanos in the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity War, but when you're setting up these movies where you have the Avengers and they're going off and they're doing the big bad things, why are you throwing Spider-Man in there when you're just sandwiching him like they did with the Vision? Why not just put him in his own television show? Introduce him in Daredevil. Introduce him in the 2nd season of Daredevil instead of Captain America, and have it like with newspapers where there's this spider running around. You put Black Panther back in Captain America because you've already set up in Avengers everything with Uganda and everything.
Yeah.
So they're already dropping the Black Panther and putting it in the movie. Because the role that Spider-Man has in Civil War was originally written for Black Panther.
Well, he's still in the movie. They're gonna. Well, the thing is we've not confirmed anything about Spider-Man being in Civil War yet. It's a lot of people conjecturing it. From what I understand, the reason they're not doing Spider-Man as a TV show or anything is that was part of the deal with Sony, is it had to be a movie that somehow tied in the MCU.
That's true. Because
Yeah.
movies nowadays, blockbusters make so many millions of dollars that how can you pass that up?
And as far as we know, with Spider-Man, it could be a post-credit scene in Civil War. It could be that he literally, like, while Tony and Cap are fighting, somebody's going around webbing up debris that's about to fall on people or something.
But that's all these rumors that are coming out around this time are coming from the same people who did all these rumors about Age of Ultron that were starting to come out.
Yeah.
Real. And so you have all these things coming out for Civil War of where it's Robert Downey Jr. They're already starting to talk about like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. is going, and like, oh, our Spider-Man is different. Why would he be going out and talking about how it's different? How their Spider-Man is going to be different. Theirs is going to be better if he's not going to be in Civil War.
Well, here's the thing. Here is the kind of the issue that we have is Avengers 2. Its opening weekend was, I believe, 280 million or so.
No, not even close. It was only about 180 because
180.
It lost
that was
out on Saturday. It lost out on Saturday because of the Pacquiao fight.
Okay, it had 180 million views. Million views. Made 180 million dollars. These things make money. Every single one of them make money. To what degree, it doesn't matter, because the film industry right now is to a point where they have to, in order to sustain themselves, they have to continue making big, ugly blockbusters like these. And you could state how good or bad they are in quality. And as comic book fans, these are like the god. The Lord himself came down and said, "Here you go, my children." But at the end of this, I think what we're realizing is stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers, stuff that were really different, and people were like, "Wow, that's different. I like that." But now we're getting the same old, and I think that's the froth is taken off of it a little bit, and everybody's like, "Oh, another one, yeah."
Well, don't worry. By the third Star Wars movie, whether it be the mainline movies or a secondary movie or whatever it may be, everybody's going to say the exact same thing about the Star Wars movies. Oh my gosh, there's so much oversaturation with these movies, even though there's only been one or two a year, past 3 or 4 years.
But the difference between a Star Wars movie and, say, these Marvel movies is Marvel has been, how many movies do they put out a year on average? About 4, 5?
They were doing 2 a year. Now they're going to go up to 3 a year.
Yeah, and Star Wars is only doing 1 a year. And for the reason that they're only projected plan so far is they're going to have the main movies, they're going to have the standalone stuff, which, unlike the Marvel movies, you don't have to follow them. You can't. With these Marvel movies, it's starting to become like the comics, where if you don't go see one, there's a chance you might get lost.
Yeah.
If you don't read Nova issue 2 for this crossover event, you're not going to have a clue. That's the problem I had when I picked up the trade of Civil War. It just contained the Civil War story for its individual issues, 1 through 8. Those are very bare bones, and there's a lot of stuff that happens in the background that you have no idea.
Right, but the thing is that
it can confuse you.
Each movie in of themselves, I feel like, are trying their best to be self-contained movies that have elements from the other movies. But the movie plots in of themselves, any plebeian can follow. The girl my best friend that I went with tonight, she had only seen the first Avengers movie, one of the Captain America movies, and Guardians of the Galaxy. That's all the movies she's seen. Yeah. She came right into this one and was able to follow the plot line completely. She just did not catch the little tiny phrases that characters say that us comic book fans catch, like, wow, I thought that this was lost from back in the day. Those little things. She didn't catch those, but she was able to come into this movie and enjoy it. So I kind of disagree with the idea that you have to watch X, Y, and Z to know what's going on in these movies.
They said they're starting to.
Right, I don't think they're starting to. I think they possibly could at one point, but I don't think they're starting to just yet.
I disagree with that because even with your point right there, she's already seen other movies, and then there was something that Stan Lee had always said that you should. Every comic book is somebody's first.
Mhm.
She had seen some other movies, a basic idea of what the hell's going on.
Mhm.
But the person I took didn't really know anything about comics. Just knew what I had told her. Came in and had trouble following it at points. She had trouble. Not to make her sound like an imbecile. She was able to follow the basic storyline, but she wasn't able to follow. I guess you could chalk that up to it being a sequel.
Yeah.
But the thing with comparing that to the Star Wars movies, the people who are going to get tired aren't going to see them. It's just, I'm not going to, I'm tired of seeing these advertisements. I'm tired of people talking about them. But with the Star Wars movies, the way they're setting them up is, if you don't want to see the standalone, but if you want to see the sequels, go ahead, because the standalones, or vice versa, because the standalones, they're nothing but adding on to what has already been established.
Yeah.
Yep.
What I'm saying is that, like, where we're now 6, 8 movies deep into the Marvel cinematic universe, and I'm hearing so many people saying, God, we're oversaturated, there's too many of them, God, there's too a year. We're going to hear that in about 2 or 3 years with the Star Wars films, I believe, because...
No, I agree with you.
Whenever anything awesome happens, like I've heard this about Five Nights at Freddy's, I've heard this about anything that comes out on a regular basis yearly now, people are instantly coming to the conclusion of, well, we're overly saturated, and I'm just like, well, you don't have to go see that movie, or you don't have to follow these Marvel movies. If you're tired of hearing about them, then go live in a cave for a couple of months and get the fuck over it,
I mean,
the thing is they are kind of right with franchising, because ever since the Marvel Cinematic Universe did it, everybody's doing their own.
Yeah.
Like DC, say whatever, they're obviously rushing and probably going to make bad movies because they're doing the same thing they did with Green Lantern all over again with their cinematic universe. You have Sony trying to pursue a Ghostbusters cinematic universe, a 21 Jump Street universe that crosses over with Men in Black somehow. You have Paramount wanting to do a Transformers cinematic universe, which just won't work because the only way they can expand it is to get off-world, and guess what? We can't have humans in that, so it's not going to happen. It's just everybody's going to get saturated on Earth because you have to have...
Yeah.
Well,
Michael Bay's favorite thing.
Well, you could have a crossover with G.I. Joe, but that's another topic for another day.
I'm waiting for that personally, because that would give you the perfect
Oh, no.
humans with your Transformers.
Yeah,
That happened before.
Well,
I would be fine with that as long as pretty much Kurtzman, Orsi, and the guy who did number 4 are staying the fuck away from him.
Well, it would help.
It
would help the G.I. Joe franchise though, because
they're kind of dead.
It's pretty much dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it smells now. The corpse is smelling now.
No, I totally understand the fear of franchising things because of the wrestling video games, the Call of Duties, the Medal of Honors. You've got them all coming out every single year, and they're not adding enough to them to make them good.
But here's the thing about those types of things. Here's the thing about those types of things. No, is that they are kind of... You live a very short life when you do that.
Yeah, exactly.
James Bond and a lot of these other movies, they're made fun of for having like millions of them, even Godzilla. But the fact of the matter is, a movie like those are special because they only come out every so often, maybe 5 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
While you have something like the cinematic universe right now, which you have a movie coming out every other month, it seems like, and it reduces...
After this year, they're going to 3 a year. So you're going to get one every 4 months.
It reduces...
But what makes it good is that it's not just a Captain America movie every 3 months. It's a different Marvel, universe every 3 months or
Yeah.
4 months or so, which I think is good because that gives different directors, different actors, different tastes, different styles. You can have a super serious Captain America 2, then you can have a super goofy and funny and awesome Guardians of the Galaxy. Then we can have a semi-action filled Avengers 2, and then we can have a goofy Ant-Man. You know, you can have your fluctuations of tastes and types so that if one movie and one style doesn't fit your flavor, then you have another one coming out in a couple months to give it a try, and they'll still make money off of it. So.
But like you said,
Yeah, my
the
thing, my
big. Go ahead, Mara.
we're losing you here. Yeah, my thing was I was gonna say is that I really think that Age of Ultron sets up stuff for the crossover. That I can feel the inevitable crossover coming with Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers. Like this is gonna happen, kind of a thing. Like I can feel it. And the other thing is that what I've heard at least is that Captain Marvel is going to be in Jessica Jones. So you're going to have the situation where you're going to have to watch Jessica Jones to really get what's going to happen in her movie in a couple of years, which is going to be kind of weird and might kind of make things a little bit annoying for people, especially because it's going to be a web show and all that Netflix crap is going to happen. And yeah,
have you watched the Daredevil show, Mamoru?
Yeah, I'm still watching it. But
okay.
You haven't finished it?
You poor man.
I'm sorry, I haven't even started it yet.
You poor man!
You're missing, like, arguably the best thing that's coming out of that universe.
Yeah.
I don't have Netflix, so I can't watch it.
I'll give you my profile tonight.
Ditto. You need to watch this. If you guys haven't seen that, we're missing a big part of this, man. Because that's actually one of the things is when I went to see this, I have to say the Daredevil stuff is probably ranks in my top 2 or 3 because it is bloody good.
It's my favorite thing that's coming out of this universe.
Yeah, and I mean bloody good in many ways. But
Pacific Rim doesn't come out until 2017, and Godzilla 2 doesn't come out till 2018, so that's why I'm hollow inside and don't care.
Don't worry, we'll fill you up with something. I don't know.
Don't stop the board.
Stop.
We're gonna fill you up with love.
The other thing I was kind of wondering to myself is, maybe it would be better to do the Infinity Wars first and then Civil War, maybe, kind of a thing? Would that make more sense for, like, the timeline a little bit better? Because I also didn't really get that. I didn't get that feeling of that Cap and Iron Man were really going at each other really at all for this movie.
I think they were going at each other in Avengers 1. You had that one scene like where Cap's like, I'm standing my ground here, while Iron Man's like being snarky and ugly to him, and I thought that was like, oh, there you go. There's their dynamic in a nutshell and how they're going to devolve.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that in this movie at all. Sure, they had scraps, but at the end of it, I think Matt had stated, they're sitting there joking about Thor's hammer and how, and it's like, okay, all the conflict you've created is now subverted again. I understand that you want these people to be friendly and it to be a very positive movie, but you also have to have a moment where maybe that they're being friendly with each other is kind of artificial because they're just trying to work with one another, but I don't know.
At the end of this, you see at the end of this movie that the new Avengers are being made, so there is no need to be artificial because, as far as we know, it's all Avengers anymore. So, what's the point of that? But I kind of agree with Mamura that they probably should do Civil War after the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Civil War and everybody who knows what that's about. So we already know, like right off the bat, that some of these members are leave, and then some of the members are going to stay on, and then when we go into the Infinity War, it's going to be a whole new team. It's going to be it's going to be this different team. I honestly think it should have been after the Infinity Gauntlet, because what's the point of setting up all these characters and setting up this storyline? By the time we get to the big battle that's been setting up, your characters have already been changed. What's the point of all that?
Yeah, your actors have gotten too old.
Well,
you
the
see
other
what I'm
thing
saying?
is the other thing is the comic book version of Infinity War, or not Infinity War. I'm sorry,
Infinity
of
Gauntlet.
Civil War.
Oh.
Well, the comic book version of Civil War, it's a world packed full of superheroes where towns and sections of city get wrecked all the time by all these superpowered people fighting each other.
Was this before or
other
after?
than
I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to. Was this before? Did Civil War happen before or after Scarlet Witch got rid of half the mutant population?
It was after.
It was
it was
afterwards?
just after, because that was the two big events that Marvel did. Yeah, our numbers are really dwindled, and we've already dealt with the Registration Act thing.
Yeah, no kidding.
You want to hear some bullshit tidbits from that? This is just a personal bullshit tidbit that I have from House of M. So in House of M, you have all these those characters who go off and they live their own realities and shit that they want. But do you know what's ironic? Peter Parker remembers marrying Gwen Stacy, but he doesn't remember marrying Mary Jane. So in the current books, he remembers being married to Gwen Stacy and having a kid, but he doesn't remember marrying Mary Jane or having a child die.
Damn.
But my whole thing is Civil War. There's tons of these people, but there's no similar dynamic in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have the Avengers, and that's it. No other superpower people have showed up yet.
And that's where we're getting the Defenders.
You haven't had a Runaways running around Southern California. You haven't had the New Warriors running around the Northeast United States.
Well, no, they're not going to do it one-to-one to what the comic does at all. They're going to make their own way. They're going to do it completely different than the comics do it. Like,
there's no way that they can do all that, because then you really do have oversaturation.
Yeah.
Well, but that's
I think that they're gonna.
Oh, go ahead, Mama.
Kind of. I think it's gonna be kind of like Tony said, like they're mad scientists, kind of like, in that these people need oversight because they kind of sometimes they do stupid things like make killer AI like Ultron, kind of a thing. The other thing I kind of noticed about this movie, like the one thing I know this is gonna kind of sound weird, but was a total bummer for me, was that Coulson wasn't in this one at all. I'm like, what happened to him?
Yeah, well, I mean, that came from the whole Wheaton does not accept that Coulson is alive in his version of the Avengers, apparently. So if Wheaton is directing the film, he's not going to have Coulson show up because he thinks Coulson's dead, even though in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Coulson went to Tahiti and got better.
Yeah.
What they're thinking is that since Wheaton is leaving the cinematic universe as a director, that when the Infinity Wars or when other cinematic movies happen, and he's now director of S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever, I've not stayed up to date on the last like 5 or 6 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he will finally then come into the movies more often being that role. But whereas in this movie, they just had, what's his face show back up, Fury show up again, even though he's not in that position. But
I've actually been keeping up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the whole big thing they had last week was when Coulson and the team raided a Hydra base to save a couple people. They downloaded files, and that's how they found out where Strucker was. So he contacts Maria Hill and is like, hey, give this to the Avengers for me.
Didn't they actually say something like assemble the Avengers and then... or something like that?
Pretty much, yeah. Essentially, the backstory is Coulson's little raid is what gave them the information to find Strucker, and then that's when they attacked Strucker.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, but at the end of the day, I think everything is... There is this huge universe, and we are just loving it. Or hating it in many regards, which is... Some people love to hate and hate to love, But...
I just hate everything.
I just want fucking Black Widow's hair to be a normal cut like in the comics. Jesus Christ. She looks so stupid with the short bob weave, whatever the fuck she's got.
She's so
it changes every
1950s.
All I know is that we need to have a Black we need to have a Hulk movie. I know that we will never get those, or at least not in this phase, or in the next phase, we're not going to get those. But we not a Black Widow and Hulk movie together, but like each.
Well, you could watch
Oh.
you could watch the inevitable porn parody, but
Oh yeah.
Well,
Different
Eric,
structure,
did you
different
hear why
I-
they haven't been able to do any other Hulk movies?
Because they don't know how to fit it into the cinematic
No,
universe.
they don't own
No.
the rights.
Yeah, they don't
to
know how to
a
write.
solo
Unlike-
movie.
Yeah, they do not own the full rights to Hulk.
And
What?
how are they able to?
Paramount still that is some deal with Paramount because they had to do the same for Iron Man.
Mhm.
Eventually,
Yeah.
Iron Man they got the full rights to Iron Man back, which is why they had to put the Paramount logo at the beginning of Avengers. But for Hulk, they haven't been able to secure a similar deal.
Oh well, that's
So that's why there's not going to be any Planet Hulk or anything like that.
So you don't mean you? That means I won't get a future Perfect or a Planet Hulk movie. Damn.
they make some sort of a similar deal like they did with Spider-Man. Because if Spider-Man can come back home to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then
Oh, yeah.
I can
There's-
hope and dream that there will be a
there-
Hulk movie one of these.
There's a lot of cool stuff that you could do with the Hulk. I mean, one of the things that I hope that they do with character development is I hope that they do the mind meld, where they actually, the Professor Hulk from the Peter David stuff.
Mhm.
Because I think me and Eric will probably be people in the audience gushing if the Hulk walks out and he's in a tuxedo.
Yeah, like we'll be
I will too.
we'll be grabbing each other by the collar and squeeing like a bunch of Japanese schoolgirls. It'll be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with the Hulk that isn't Hulk smash, Hulk fight strong, Dragon Ball Z villain of the week.
Or
Yeah.
the typical Hulk TV show, where he's walking off in the sunset and it's like do 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 do, and it's all sad. And, even though that is kind of interesting and definitely a lot of development, but it's like, is that all the Hulk is?
Well, I mean,
know,
look at what they did with him in both movies. In both movies, he got a fuck you shot on the main bad guy, Loki and fucking Ultron. Like they leave that like there's going to be the inevitable like meme of Hulk gets good shot in.
Yeah.
Like Hulk or Thor and Ultron got into a scrap for like 45 fucking minutes, but the Hulk shows up and gets one whack on him.
Yeah. See, there's people out there who say that they want if there was a Hulk movie, that they wouldn't want it to be Planet Hulk because we got a cartoon or this and that. But I don't know what any fan wouldn't find it cool to have an Avengers movie where the Hulk comes back and he ain't fucking around and he's a villain, and that would be a cool dynamic to have a former teammate actually be a villain.
Mm-hmm. They've turned him into a semi-villain in both movies, for Christ's sake. So why don't they pull the trigger, let him go ahead, and turn into a bad guy?
Like in one movie, you do the mind meld. You make him, you give him Banner's brain, or you give him the not the Banner's brain, but the his own. Like you mix the Gray Hulk with the green, because in the comics, the Gray Hulk he's weaker than the Green Hulk, but he's smart. Like he's articulate, and that's where Mr. Fix-It and him being a mobster and everything comes in.
Yeah.
But you do something like that, and then you have him go off and he does this shady stuff, and then they send him off into space or do something, and then he comes back eventually, and you have World War Hulk, and that would be a really cool dynamic, I think, to have.
They don't have to do it just like in the comics. Same thing they're going to be doing with Civil War.
Well, you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I completely agree with you. If they tweaked it and fiddled it around with it, they could make a War Hulk event be really fucking interesting.
Yeah, I think he's one of the characters because we were talking pre-chat, where I don't think the Hulk got as much development as he should have. Yes, he had the scene at the end, which was a really nice scene. It was, my favorite character. And
Nope. You're cutting out.
his character is kind of spinning his wheels to me.
Yeah, you broke out there for a second.
Yeah, the Skype call unfortunately has kind of been fading in and out just a little bit in some regards, but I'm
Can you hear me now?
yeah, you're good.
Well, I was gonna say what I was saying was I kind of feel like his character is kind of starting to spin his wheels now, where he's the lone the lone creature, all that. They've kind of, with the Black Widow relationship that was thrown in there, but we kind of we basically had that with Betty Ross in
Yeah, I didn't
Incredible
actually.
Hulk.
I didn't really like the Black Widow stuff because I thought it felt really forced. Because in the first movie, she was legitimately afraid of him because she's a normal human being as magically as she can be in her ninja skills. But in this one, it was like, I sympathize with you because I'm a woman and you're a man and, I care. And you're like,
No, she's just
Well,
as
I think the
fucked up
thing
as he
is-
I don't know. It
Well,
didn't really.
I think they threw it in because I get the feeling that Kevin Feige knows that he can't. He's not going to get the big Disney higher ups to okay him on doing a standalone Black Widow movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest, there's plenty of people who can write female characters really strong. It's just that it's usually corporate dickery that screws things up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. But
I mean, biggest example we have recently was the whole fuck up with Legend of Korra. That thing was one of the best things Nintendo put out, or not Nintendo, but Nickelodeon put out. But man, the producers just hated it just because of the fact that, hey, it's a female main character. And we're pulling in an older audience than we want. Like, yeah.
Well, that's business.
But
this will be a conversation for later because Daniel, I think you said you wanted to head out here soon, but are you meaning that you think that the relationship at the end was due to higher ups or the producers or what? I'm not sure what you're
No,
talking
I
about.
think he means that the producers kept trying to manipulate the story because they wanted something that would appeal more to children than.
Well, no. That's what I'm saying that Kevin Feige and the other story guys worked with Whedon to throw that in there because the bigger higher ups out of Disney, pretty much because all the biggest popularity for their characters is male, even though that's really stupid because you have plenty of females showing up for Thor in all of his movies and Cap and all of his, but apparently they think that they can only appeal to the male market, which is why they go for male characters.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But the stuff with Black Widow and the entire point she had with the scene with Bruce whenever he got out of the shower or whatever was she's explaining like she's just as much as a monster as he is. She's killed people that she hasn't even known, taken and destroyed families for no reason whatsoever because a government association told her to. She's had her womanhood taken from her. She can't have children just as much as Bruce can't either.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that kind of herself as a woman, like she can't become because of this monster that she's become because of this I forgot what the name of the organization she was a part of.
It's
It's essentially the KBG, the whole Black Widow project and stuff like that.
Yeah, like she is damaged and she's just trying to say like it's okay to be kind of messed up because in these kinds of situations we as not insane but damaged individuals need to stick together in order to get through these moments in life. And that's what she was trying to equate, and that's why I think that development was great because of those issues. It's not just like they were like, oh, we're gonna ship them because fucking this OTP that's portable fan fiction. And it didn't. To me, it didn't feel like it was out of the blue because, like I said earlier, there's evidence shown that there's been some time that they have spent together as Avengers since their individual movies.
well,
And
they wouldn't have invented the lullaby if that wasn't the case.
Exactly, and they wouldn't have had the magnetic thing for Cap, and they wouldn't have had all this different machinery and equipment and the Avengers Tower and all of that,
Mhm.
there's evidence there that they have been a part of a team for a very, very long time. So, of course, Bruce, dorky mofo as he is going to develop feels at some point, and Black Widow maybe is going to open up at some point. Probably
Well,
with
she
the
said it
coaxing-
herself. Everybody she knows is a fighter, and everybody, and the thing that attracts her to him is the fact that he's a fighter who doesn't want to fight because he knows he's going to win.
That line, oh my god, that line! I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, so I
Eric,
mean,
you're such a Hulk fanboy.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't see why people are having such an issue with the whole Black Widow thing because I feel like it's fine.
Oh no, it worked completely fine with me, Freddie. That made complete sense to me. When he said,
Well, of course, with you're a Hulk.
even if it was Captain America, like if not okay, wrong. I'm just saying the way that they developed their relationship.
Well, see,
because when she said, "And he's a dork," and he kind of stood back, and she was like, "And some chicks dig that." I'm like, that shows that he has probably scienced around her. And she's completely lost on some of it, but it's still like lightened her soul a little bit to know that he may have probably at one point smiled because he was geeking out about something scientific, and that just like put something on her heart. Like I saw that, of course that's my mind, delving into the development of these characters more than the movie showed me because I'm not a fucking mook that needs everything shown to me on a piece of paper with crayons.
Well, the other thing is the fact that
crayons are cool.
The other thing is the fact that all the other Avengers are like, oh, dude, we've seen it for months. It's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody is screaming, "You fucking moron! Just hit that ass!" Jesus Christ!
But
Like even Cap's like, I know she's not flirting. I've seen her flirt, and she is flirting with you. Well, what about you and her? And he was like, no.
I had my own movie. I had my chance.
He's like, she's not my type.
He said, as advice from the guy who's the world's leading expert on waiting too long.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Well, shipping aside, I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping up here for a spell. I think we said
No, we need to talk more about the Hulk for like 15 more minutes.
I don't think I can last that long. I'm
Hulk
not.
sucks, lol.
Well, the thing for me is I want, like Matt said, I kind of want them to differentiate with all the other stuff in the universe. Like, maybe change up the TV shows and do something other than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe do another Agent Carter style show that's like a one-off between seasons of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like,
Agent Hulk!
the biggest... The biggest thing for me that I would love to see, because this was they had originally planned out a Runaways movie, but Iron Man 3 took its spot. And they gave up on that project for the time, but it's still shelved, is doing a Runaways TV show. Doing these other shows besides just the Defenders. And like, do a Nova, like 3 or 4-parter on Netflix or something, where the Nova Corps plays around with the Power Gem.
You'll probably get that stuff once they introduce Spider-Man, because he's coming back as a teenager, and once you do all that, they'll probably bring in, at least I hope, for God, if it's not Richard Rider, I will riot. Because I can't stand Sam Alexander and him being Jeff Johns' and I'm saying it here because his son died. Maybe that was a little harsh, but I don't care.
Well, I think
but yeah,
I think
he's
everybody.
Spider-Man to open the door for some more teenage heroes.
Like Miss Marvel.
No one cares about Miss Marvel.
Thank you.
Isn't that
Oh,
what
you go to
Captain
hell.
Marvel is?
that feel
Captain
when-
Marvel was originally Miss Marvel, and then when Marvel won the lawsuit with DC Comics for the name Captain Marvel, because Shazam used to be called Captain Marvel,
Yeah.
they had Carol Danvers take the Captain Marvel title, and then they had Kamala Khan, who's the new character in the comics, come in, and who's an Inhuman, And
Captain Marvel was a
she's-
guy when those lawsuits were going on. Those lawsuits have been going on and off.
Yeah. So they introduced a completely new character to take on the title of Miss Marvel, and it has been one of the most enjoyable comics for me to read in flipping years. So,
Well,
Avengers, because Marvel has been something that's been set up since what the 80s, the 90s.
hey Matt, you're cutting out pretty bad. I don't. Everybody else is coming in clean and clear. Yeah, you're cutting out pretty bad here and there, and it kind of makes it hard to hear you and catch on what you're saying. Can you hear me now?
It's not my internet call.
I'm
I'm sorry.
intentionally tweaking the cable with Matthew's section of the internet, so that's why his internet's breaking out.
I thought it was hosting it for a second. I was like, damn, I can't do anything. I'm streaming into. Oh wait, and then it dawned on me. I was like, oh yeah, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, everybody wants something different, and they want it to be good and still be within the Marvel because
No, I
everybody's.
want everything to be awful.
Well, you know what? I want my
Oh,
socks
no, come on,
to
let's
be
not get
out.
all DC about this.
Yeah, everybody.
I could start going on a soapbox about DC. But
Oh, let's not.
No.
Oh, please no.
No. Because I've seen people rant about the others, that these movies are gonna be awful, and then I've seen people who are like, Jesus Christ, be fucking optimistic about this shit. So like, I'm getting to the point now where it's like, if I hear, I just want to be a little bit optimistic. Can I just be a little bit optimistic about something once?
Yes.
Just without somebody being like, oh, it's gonna be shit.
Yes, Matt. You can be optimistic about your love life. There you go.
Oh well, then I guess I won't have anything to look forward to.
I just look at DC's the way DC is handling stuff, and it's like, you guys can smile, Your faces aren't gonna crack.
Yeah. You know what? I totally agree with that. But then on the other hand, when I sit back and I've been thinking on this, people have been making jokes about, Batman, Superman versus Batman needs colors, and but I can forgive this movie and Suicide Squad because Batman's in it. It's
Batman.
pretty much a Batman movie, and Batman is I don't know if you heard, but Batman's a dark character.
He's
Well,
Batman.
I get that, but the thing is Man of Steel was just as dark, and it really shouldn't have been because you need the colors to contrast. I mean, I just read The Dark Knight Returns graphic novel, and you know what? It's a very big difference in the coloring of the pages between Bruce and Clark.
Yes, that is true, but I think when a lot of people really are getting mixed up is because this thing is getting thrown around so much. People are
And there he goes.
It's gonna be shit. It's. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Whenever something comes out about these movies, people just back. Oh, it's gonna be shit. They don't give it the chance. I can understand it, but I think people are getting the two things mixed up. I think they're getting the fact that yes, those movies are literally actually dark, like the Dark Knight, or the Man of Steel movie. Like legitimately, like the colors are dark, and then they're mixing that up with, because the Dark Knight was a dark movie tone-wise. All these movies are trying to emulate it because it was dark. You know what I mean? And I think people are getting those two things mixed up because people are just throwing this thing around. I looked at the Dark Knight, Batman vs Superman, and you know what? It didn't thrill me because it didn't get me excited. But then that the Star Wars trailer came out the same week. But at the same time, I watched that trailer and I go, all right, I can see what some people are getting excited for. I can understand where there's something coming through.
Yeah.
Also, artistic vision can also help with the interpretation of how a film is colored and if it is too dark and whatnot. So, yeah, just by saying it's dark and that it shouldn't be like that is saying, no, director, you're wrong. You're not doing my movie. So,
Well, and DC may be trying to do the dark, grittier aspect because they don't want to directly compete with Marvel's very brightly colored aspects. They were like, nah, we want to do something darker to attract that kind of crowd, because that's something that we can pin down and get a niche, unlike Marvel stuff, which Marvel is kind of... So it's just two different ways of approaching it, but I think everybody thinks that Marvel's approach is now like the better, bestest, greatest friends. Let's do this, guys. Why are you not doing this? Like, you don't have to do that for Batman. You know, it's okay to have 60s Adam West Batman, but it's also okay to have Christopher Nolan's Batman. You know.
The other thing is the way they're handling these is they're doing the same thing that happened to the Green Lantern. They got like 5 different writers coming up with 5 different scripts that they're going to Frankenstein together. And the thing for me is the character blow. Seriously, okay, this movie's called Batman versus Superman, but guess what? They're going to have Wonder Woman, Cyborg, several other characters I can't think of off the top of my head right now, all appearing at the same time. Look at that character poster that just came out for Suicide Squad. There's 12 people in that picture. Yeah. How are you going to be able to tell all these character stories?
Well, they're just going to kill off like 4 of them
instantaneously. It's like, hey guys, you know.
Well, no, they're going to add importance to the movie by killing off 3 or 4 characters and having the rest of them be the main group. And then in the next movie, they'll introduce 2 or 3 more people that then maybe some of the original 6 that survived get killed off, and then the new ones stay. And yeah.
And that's why we have, and Eric, I'm starting to turn into you. That's why we have optimism, and we look and we go, all right, I don't really care about this thing, but I'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Because the more you sit back and you say, oh, this is going to be shit, this is awful, just look at what they're doing. You're going to go in the movie and you're going to see what you've been saying for 3 years. This movie's garbage. This movie's
a self-fulfilling prophecy, in essence, where it's like, no matter how the movie's going to turn out, it will never meet your expectations because you never had any expectations for it to begin with, and it was like you're automatically... You didn't care if it was good or not. All you cared about was it was going to be bad. And that's
I do everything in my power nowadays to not even really watch trailers of movies that I want to see anymore because of the reputation of trailers. So when it comes to I'm
starting to fall into that.
Yeah,
right,
same.
exactly. But what I see, and I'll make this really quick because we need to wrap up soon because I personally got shit to do tonight. The thing that's bothering me the most about DC in general is that they did not. I don't feel like that they've learned from Man of Steel. Man of Steel was weird in that it did good and it was an enjoyable movie, but it was only enjoyable in the fact that afterwards you didn't think about it because the minute you start thinking about it, you start realizing, wow.
Oh, my brain, logic.
No, not that. It's the fact that if you start thinking about it more, you start realizing the whole like, wow, why did he have to kill Zod that way? Was that many people get killed in those cities? Man, that was a lot of fight scenes. So I've just chalked it up to Man of Steel was the best Dragon Ball Z movie in our time.
Which to stuff like that, and a lot of Superman fans even went on this about Man of Steel. And I felt this way when I heard a lot of them talk, people bitch about some Spider-Man aspects. You can name off like 13, 14, 20, 200 stories where Superman just the cities get destroyed, and people die. What's that one story I keep thinking? The Death of Superman, arguably one of the most popular comic books ever created. Mm-hmm. You might have heard of it.
Superman Lives.
The whole, pretty much the whole city gets wrecked, and people die.
Yeah.
Right, but that would have been good for like a second movie in this new universe that they're trying to create. In the first one, they haven't happened.
Now.
But here's okay. I'm sorry, I have to defend fucking Man of Steel, and I really hate doing this. But the whole Zod thing,
it hurts.
Like what the? Okay, and also, I apologize if I'm swearing. I know, but. What the fuck? What else he was gonna do? Literally, he was seconds away from zapping an entire innocent family.
I think he did zap them.
No, he didn't.
He didn't?
No.
Okay.
No.
I blinked.
He came damn near close.
I blinked. So I was like, oh, he killed him. Oh, okay.
But here's the thing. Even in the the original Richard Donner movie of 2, he killed Zod. He picked him up and then chucked him into one of the bottomless pits that's in the Fortress of Solitude.
I thought he locked him away again in one of those glass planes and they flew off into space.
No, he literally just like threw them down and then they were done. And then there came the studio edit that screwed things up and had him depower them, and they get picked up and turned into the Canadian Mounties.
Oh, okay. The scene that go ahead, Fred. Go ahead.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, everybody complaining about that stupid shit. Like,
Well,
literally,
it's stupid
what-
because after that movie came out, there was like a report saying, "Hey, yeah, what was his name? Snyder was like, hey, yeah, we wanted a way to make where Superman killed someone, so we literally came up with a no-win scenario so he could have to kill him." And then
Jesus
I think
Christ,
that's why.
what happens in life.
I know, and I think that
I mean,
it actually pissed people off because it's one of those like, well, Superman would never get into that. And it's like, it's a superhero
yes,
movie.
he would have.
Yeah, it's people do that.
He
It
has.
happens. It's not very
He
fun.
has multiple times.
That's the thing for me, is if it's good storytelling to get to an event, that makes it better. But when it's, we have to have a checklist here of actually having these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
Like literally, look at what happened with Spider-Man 3. Okay, we have to have a checklist. Okay, we have to have Sandman. We have to have Venom.
and the
we
blonde
gotta
chick,
have the
that's her.
wedding, and we have to have the second Green Goblin.
Yeah. And we have to tie things up as well because Sam Raimi, he's quitting. Oh shoot.
But they didn't have the drug abuse.
What?
Huh?
That would have been great. He's like, after half of his face is melted off, he's sitting there with like heroin. He's like, "Leave me alone, Spider-Man."
You didn't know that, Momro? Harry Osborn in the comics, he's a drug addict.
Yeah.
Really?
I love
It was
that
really
whole
good.
scene. It's like, "Sir, the day I killed your father's body, I found that the wounds were from his own glide." Well,
He's like, "I can't
this
hear
would have been nice to know 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was like, and why should I believe you in the first case? You have no evidence of this. You're my bloody butler. You know, it's like,
No, it's just like, dude's been on a violent bender about getting revenge against Spider-Man for 5 years, and his butler just happens to like, after your face got melted off, and now you feel sorry about punking Peter. It was really your dad's fault.
It's kind of like that scene. Since we're talking the topic of Spider-Man, it's kind of like that scene in One More Day where Mary Jane's like, "Oh yeah, I knew that your dead girlfriend slept with your mortal enemy, but I haven't told you up till this point."
Ooh.
And then everything's okay.
See, these are the logical inconsistencies and just annoyances that I'm glad this new movie doesn't have. So,
Don't worry. By tomorrow or the day after, when this initial wave of people going out to see this movie comes to an end, there will be tons of people that nitpick everything.
You know, Iron Man's wearing a different armor in one scene because of budget restraints. I don't know. I'm just making shit
It's
up.
in one scene.
The fact that I've seen on a consistent basis people saying, how does this not contradict what happened in Iron Man 3? And I'm like, if I could possibly remember what happened in Iron Man 3, then what made this inconsistent, I could possibly think of an answer, but off the top of my head, I can't. But that's just the one thing that I've heard. I'm waiting on racism, sexism.
It's already happened. It already has happened.
Really?
Yep.
What?
People complaining about Black Widow being not a strong, independent woman and always depending on a man.
Oh, goodness.
Always wanting to have a relationship, and that's what her function is.
Well,
as
she
a woman.
didn't do that in Captain America 2, so...
Nor did she do it in Iron Man.
Hey, don't scream it. Don't scream at me.
Or is it the fact that she's going for a man and not going for, what's her face from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that?
No, it's more of she's not her own independent woman who doesn't need a man in her life.
Jesus Christ.
She's a strong woman.
Do these people not realize that, there's this thing called breeding?
Yeah.
It's what keeps the human race afloat.
Yeah.
You're arguing logic with the Tumblr crowd.
I will say, though,
it's not going to happen.
I will say, though, that the line at the very end when Natasha said, "Are you two done staring into each other's eyes?" I knew that was a bone toward the Tumblr fandom. I could tell that's what that was.
Okay, there is a section of fandom, and it's not everybody on Tumblr.
Yeah.
There is a section of people on Tumblr
It's the slash fiction, guys. The slash fiction.
And they like to take things out of maybe I don't know. They like to scream their opinion at people and don't like to have dialogue. I have encountered that quite a couple of times.
I mean, I'm all for shipping. I mean, I'm all for getting two characters and shipping them together in your mind. But there seems to be a bit of a problem of people saying that, you know, their relationship is this way because they believe that they're homosexuals. And I'm not against homosexuality, but I'm against changing a straight character to a different sexuality, because if it was done the other way around, it would piss off all of Tumblr. So,
you people don't know the trials and tribulations of being a Transformers fan and the existence of Tumblr.
Oh, Fred.
There's gay robots out the wazoo every day.
They have found magical ways for these characters to have
Absolutely.
even though they're robots that don't sexually...
they don't even have a gender, really.
Are you sure about that? Because I'm pretty sure I saw some balls in Transformers 2.
When we talk about comics,
and there was that girl one too.
Comics, there's the whole issue of RC being a transsexual, because Jaxus was like, "Hey, I want to make fembots," and so he forcefully made somebody into a female, and that shit happened. There's also gay comics, but
anyways.
It's a robot! Alright.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out to Avenger 2 talk.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, but...
If you would like to complain about the things we've just said, you can send all your emails to Daniel Mason at MAHQ. He is willing to talk about every single point every single one of us has made.
Especially slash fiction. He
in
loves
the words of Tony
slash
Stark,
fiction.
I will be swift and cruel.
Well, but you guys have been pretty fun. It's been interesting to get some perspectives. This movie, I think everybody really enjoyed it. It does have some issues. You know, there's some little things here and there, but I think at the end of it, everybody had some fun, and I had fun tonight listening to you guys and chatting with you. So, and I hope everybody who came out tonight to watch had fun listening to us, or at least gain some perspective to some degree.
Please don't hate me.
Matthew, I'm going to give you the opportunity to give the best ending to tonight's talk. If you look at today's date.
What is today's date? I have to go check today's date.
Don't.
Hold on. I gotta go check today's date.
What are you talking about? It's May 3rd, right?
Oh, it's Star Trek Day.
The final frontier.
I love Battlestar Galactica. Especially, everybody knows my favorite character of all time is Solid Snake.
Loser.
Did I do it? Is that how you do comedy?
Yep. That's how you do comic. Okay, Russell, let us go home.
All right. You guys got anything to plug? I know that Eric, you've got things because you're like a rising star in the YouTube community.
The internet community, yeah.
What are you, Casey Kasem?
Who?
That sounded like Casey. Oh my
I don't
God.
know who that is.
Is he that dead guy?
Russell, get out.
This is my stream.
Somebody not request a song about some dead goddamn dog.
He's the voice of. This is getting off topic. Eric, how would you like to plug with your YouTube channel?
Yes, thank you. I actually do not have a full-blown YouTube channel yet because I don't have enough followers.
I've lied to you all.
But I do have a Twitch channel. Me and my friend Power Fist come together every Tuesday and Thursday to stream random-ass games like Mortal Kombat, Grand Theft Auto. Today we were playing Rise, Son of Rome, which was actually a very pretty game, but it was a very short game. We're at twitch.tv/Powerborn, POWERBORNE, if you want to stop by there every Tuesday and Thursday so you can see the Wheel of Doom and other random assortments of games. I'm going to start doing a series soon where Fred, Matthew, Doc, whoever will be coming into Skype chat like this with us for fun while I complete Final Fantasy games, Metal Gear Solid games, Resident Evil, like Metal Gear, like every game in those series I'm going to play them from beginning to end, every single one of them, and I'm calling it complete for right now. So definitely check that out, and sooner or later we will have a consistent streaming schedule for me and Fred to do Saga Plays Anime, where we're going to finish up Gal Gaigar and then move on to Macross.
I will join you for that if you will accept me, because I have not seen Macross in a long time and I need to rewatch it. Also, my agent will be in touch with you, and by my agent I mean my action figure collection.
and I also have never seen Macross ever, except for Do You Remember Love, unsubtitled.
I've got 2 volumes, and that's about it. I need more.
So
you mean Robotech, the most wonderful anime ever?
Oh,
Nope. Macross, the Animigo, releases.
that leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
I'd say it tastes sweet, but where's all
So
this
Daniel,
bitterness
you got
come
anything-
from?
Got anything to plug?
Freddie,
Yes, sir.
go ahead, Freddie.
Follow me on Twitter at Frederick00. I post some funny shit. Also, I will link to some articles because I am also a writer on thebrokeninfinite.com. So go to thebrokeninfinite.com for comic book, movies, gaming, all that jazz music. I write about comic books, specifically Giant Rubit comic books, and some Gajiller comic books, and news and analysis and stuff like that, which I should be posting more, and I feel like a shitty person for not doing that, but I will be posting more, so follow me there. Like Eric said, I also help him out with the Saga Plays Anime. Like we said, we are streaming Gal Gaigar.
I didn't know you guys were watching Bo.
Fuck no, I would quit.
Next thing, we're gonna watch Sailor Moon Crystal, and then kill ourselves.
You know, I just go read my manga and pretend the pages are moving.
He does his own voices and everything.
It's like the kid who's like supposedly reading an encyclopedia, but he's looking at porn or something. He's like, just
Daniel?
don't notice me.
Okay.
He's like, you took this a little far.
Russell, are you drunk?
No. Heaven forbid I get drunk. I'd kill the world.
Daniel, where can people find you? Or was Freddie not finished? I'm sorry, I'm being a bad co-host. Forgive me, I will go... So I don't have...
Go sit in the pool! Go sit in the pool!
Good news, everybody.
Take this knife with you!
I do not have to commit seppuku, or however you pronounce it, because I interrupted this. Daniel, where can people find you?
Typically, I'm one of the moderators over the MHQ Facebook group. I also occasionally appear on the I Thought They Smell Bad on the Outside podcast with Scott Walker.
Who?
And Jeff, the Defender of Destiny.
Two Jeff, Defenders of Destiny now, so you're going to have to elaborate.
The guy that Neo loves. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
The one they made the commercial over.
I was being funny.
No, you wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
Well, you know what? Cut. You need to cut Eric's mic.
I'd have to cut you off.
I
could just do this, and nobody can hear you, and they'll be like, "What's going on? What's happening? I can't hear them anymore." And then I press this, and they're like, "Oh, I can hear them again."
Russell.
Stop.
Russell, where can people find you, and tell them why it's my pants?
Well, I sneak in there every night to try and kill you, but I've failed every time. But oh well, jealousy prevails. Let's see. You can find me at RoboLizard222 here on YouTube, as well as on Twitter, and that's about it. Actually, I don't have too many things. I might see about expanding this to other things, and maybe doing more of these if the time and energy and people allow. So it's been pretty fun. I'll admit, I like this.
Can we talk about the thing that I was talking to you about the other day?
What was that?
The Spooperman, the Spooperman thing?
Spooperman?
Yes. Spooperman.
Oh! Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Me and Russell might I already did one episode of it. As you can probably tell, I'm a big Spider-Man fan, and I've had a podcast that has been in developer hell for like a year.
I've only known you a year.
Because I'm a terrible editor and everything, so to help myself learn, me and Russell will be doing a podcast where we'll be going over every single issue of Amazing Spider-Man ever made.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
And well, up to a point, and I will provide issues for him when he stops being able to get them. But
I like this.
we will also be doing going over the history of retcons that have been put into the individual issues up to that point. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I've never actually completed. I've gotten about, I think, through the first like 20 or 30 Amazing Spider-Mans, including obviously Amazing Fantasy. But so it'll be really cool and interesting. I love Spider-Man, so it's like, yay! Maybe someday I'll be just as knowledgeable as Senpai Matthew. So
that'll never happen because I'm the superior one. Some would say the superior Matthew. Haha, that was a Spider-Man reference because we were talking about Spider-Man.
What?
I don't know why I'm talking like a Speed Racer cartoon.
He's going over the cliff.
Hey, where's the monkey? Momaro, you're the monkey. Let's jump in the trunk. Yay! All right.
That's racist.
I'm a monkey? What now?
So, Mamoru, you have any place you want to tell us where we can find you at on the internet, since Russell's wanting to get drunk all over again?
I don't
Sure,
drink.
fine. You can, if you want to follow my random ramblings that are just really random and not really all that interesting, you can follow me at Momaru81 on Twitter if you want.
I do. His random rumblings are shit.
Yep.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know how rambling is stuff.
Russell works.
What? I'm tired. Leave me alone.
You're not
So
the only one.
act yourself freaking weird.
This is what happens when I'm sleep deprived.
Russell, you tell the studio audience, or I will make you drink alone.
But it tastes so fruity.
You've got 2 minutes before I end the call.
Yeah.
Alright, you guys have been wonderful. I'm sorry, I don't mean to troll you. I really am kind of losing my mind.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
He's like, don't make me do it. Don't
Russell,
make
this
me do it.
podcast can't go under 88 miles per hour.
Alright, well, thank you guys so much for coming out. I do appreciate it, and hopefully we get to do more of these. So check out everybody's stuff, or else we'll send Fred after you and kill you. He's very good at it. Trust me. That one guy, he's dead. Yep. As well as his dog.
Yep.
Because that's what Fred does. So, alright guys. That